And I then found in the subsequent days that others caught on to this theme and tried to develop it themselves. But you can't convince everybody. About 6 months after I was elected, another member, not the noble Lord Cormac, as he now is, came up to me, and a rather aristocratic gentleman, and he said to me, Mr. Speaker, and I say to you, I didn't vote for you. I didn't vote for you. I mean, I'm bound to say, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't exactly have to be Sherlock Holmes to have worked this out some considerable time before. There wasn't the slightest prospect this side of eternity of this particular honourable gentleman voting for me for a variety of reasons. He said, I didn't vote for you. I voted for Sir George Young because I think he's a bloody good egg. But I didn't vote for you. But I'm bound to say I think we're doing frightfully well. I said in the chair, jolly good job. Well done. But I just want to make one point to you. Are you interested in hearing my point? And I said, yes, I'd love to hear your point. And he said, well, I'm not sure about this outreach business. This business of sort of visiting schools and sort of universities and so on. And I said, well, what is it about it that bothers you? Well, I think it's a rum business, he said, a rum business. Have any of you here ever read P.G. Wodehouse, who writes about the British aristocracy? Well, who writes about Bertie Wooster and other sort of well-born idiots. And this chap said, well, I think it's a rum business. And you're very sort of curious, but I think a speaker in the chair, very important role, very important. And then when you finish in the chair, speaker, you at the end of the day, you should go back to Speaker's house and you relax with your wife and your family, very important. But I think this business sort of going out and visiting schools and so forth, I think it's a rum business. And he basically meant that he thought it was beneath the dignity of the office. And I appreciated him being candid about it, but I said, I take completely the opposite view. In the modern age, you cannot get or keep respect for key institutions or offices by sort of dressing up in a fancy uniform, looking important and being completely impenetrable and inaccessible to the outside world. You've got to be prepared to make a case for yourself. And so I have spent a lot of time going around schools, universities, and other bodies. And I do welcome the UK Youth Parliament once a year to our chamber on a non-sitting day to debate the issues which they've chosen to debate. And, you know, if you think about it, what could be better for cultivating the skill of public advocacy or engendering in those young people some self-confidence than to give them the chance to perform in our chamber? You know, it's really actually quite a simple point. If we want to be respected by young people, we have to show some respect for young people. I was dumbfounded and aghast when one of my senior colleagues came up to me and said, I gather, Mr. Speaker, you are to chair the session of the UK Youth Parliament. And I said, yes, that's right. And he said, let me tell you, I predict for certain it will be an absolute unmitigated disaster. And I said, well, I didn't agree with that at all, but, you know, tell me what makes you think. I know what I'm talking about. I've been here 38 years and more. And I said to him, no, I know exactly when you were elected, but what I'm asking is, what's your argument? What's your central thesis? And he said, you mark my words. I tell you, I remember it very clearly to this day. He said, you mark my words, Mr. Speaker. If those young people come into the chamber to debate their issues, as you put it, at the very least, he said, chewing gum will be left all over the chamber. And at the worst, he said, he was absolutely about to burst. He said, penknives will be used and damage to these benches, which I love, will be done. And I said to him, well, I just think it's appalling that you should parody and caricature and malign young people in that way. I predict you they'll come, they'll be proud to come, they'll speak well, and I also predict you they'll behave a damn sight better than we do most days of the week. And I hate to say it, because I know it's never popular when you say this, ladies and gentlemen, but I was right on all counts. They did themselves proud, and I thought it was a good thing. But of course, it's not just those one-offs or my visits around the country. We try interactively to communicate with schools and other institutions. We have workshops across the country about legislation and the operation of committees and how people can get involved. We have a whole parliamentary outreach service and an education service, and it's a relatively new phenomenon. I mean, it's bizarre that it's a new phenomenon. We'll be 800 years old in 2015, and we've had such a service since, I think, 2006 or 7, but it's now an expanding part of the work of Parliament, and I hope you will feel, as I do, that this must have some merit. Maybe we can do it better. Maybe the resources should be deployed differently. Maybe the focus could change. But the idea that we can ever again retreat into our lager and think that the only real engagement with the electorate is our own mailbag and our own door-knocking during election campaign is so transparently absurd that only an extraordinary reactionary could seriously think it to be the right thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I have addressed you at considerable length. You will be mightily relieved to know, because I want to hear what you have to say to me, that having treated of the subject of the Speaker and the Chair, the reform process in Parliament and my attempts to add to the functions of the office to be an ambassador, my remarks are thankfully at an end. Thank you.